Hey guys, I'm here from my beer fridge to teach you a lesson on alcohol. I've waited this long because a lot of times I don't want to broach the subject until we have to, because it can be overwhelming. It can turn people off. But alcohol needs to be calculated a little bit different in your macros than just logging it for calories. If you look at alcohol, say for instance, this high noon, if you looked at it and you saw that it was 100 calories, but somehow only 2.6 grams of carbs and no protein and no fat, you might have said to yourself, does that mathematically make any sense? And no, it does not. So technically alcohol, they refer to as the fourth macronutrient. We have protein, carbohydrate, and fat, and then we have alcohol because they all contain calories. But remember, alcohol doesn't have any nutrient value. So that's important to know when you're putting that into your daily diet. So let's close that up and then we'll do some math so that we understand how to use it properly. So since we have this 100 calorie seltzer, we know that it is 100 calories. But we need to go back and just first make sure that we're all on the same page with protein being worth 4 calories a gram. Same with carbohydrate, and fat is worth 9 calories a gram. So when we're using alcohol, we want to make sure that we don't take away anything from our protein, but we can use our our carbohydrates and our fats, take some of that away to account for the alcohol that we might be drinking. So we can use a little math, and I will give you a tip that we can use an online macro alcohol calculator that might make it easier, especially in the moment. But I want you to understand where we're coming from. So like I said, we can use it for carbohydrates or fat. So if we have a 100 calorie seltzer and we know that carbohydrates are worth 4 calories per gram, then we can divide 100 by 4 and we can use 25 of our carbohydrates for one of the seltzers. Or we could do it for fat. Fat is worth 9 calories a gram. 100 divided by 9 is 11. So we can use 11 grams of fat. Or we could do a combination of that. So we could maybe divide it in half, depending on how many carbs and fats we might have left for the day. And we could do 50 divided by 4 is 12 and a half. 50 divided by 9 is 5 and a half. So you could do 12.5 carbs and 5.5 grams of fat, and we could incorporate that into our daily allotment. So when I do this, like I said, I use an online macro calculator because it makes it easier. There's usually a slide bar that you can say, oh, I want to use some fat, some carbohydrates, that kind of thing, and it'll spit out numbers for you. Then what I usually like to do is to put it into Chronometer or MyFitnessPal or whatever you're using and put it in as a custom food, and you could label it. So you could say, okay, it's a high noon for carbohydrates, and then that way you would know it would be the 25 carbohydrates. So again, I don't want to use this as something to scare you off or to make it more intimidating, but I do want you to understand the value and the weight that alcohol has when it comes to especially dieting. So it's not just going to be 2.6 carbohydrates. That somehow doesn't make any sense. It has a lot more weight to that. Let me know if you have any questions on this. I'll write some stuff out so that you understand a little bit more, but please comment and let me know how I can help you more.